Good evening, everyone. Welcome to your Rangers Review post-match reaction video live from Ibrox. Another memorable European night, you've got to say. A real roller coaster ride. Rangers emerging victorious by 2-0 in the first leg that will take over to Athens next week. And did not see that coming. Certainly at half-time when the Greek side were on top and Rangers had Jack Butland to thank for two huge stops in the first half. He made another couple of stops in the second half to keep Rangers in it. And in fact, one of the saves sparked the opening goal with Finlay Curtis, the man of the moment. Another man of the match display from him with a wonderful goal cutting in from the left and firing a right-footed curling effort into the corner, and that really blew the roof off Ibrox. Vadianadis then got sent off for a second bookable offence for hauling down Finlay Curtis. Panathinaikos down to 10, and then the introduction of Jedi Gassama, and within more or less a minute or so, he produced a stunning finish to seal the 2-0 win. Fair credit to Max Aarons for a bit of skill down that near the right-hand side of the corner flag. Hamza Igaman laying into the path of Mohamed Diamandi, and then he supplied Gassama, who did the rest. Fantastic introduction from him. Rangers perhaps unfortunate not to get another goal to put the real shine on the display and make life a whole lot more comfortable in Athens. But certainly would have taken that beforehand. Joshua, what did you make of it all?
Oh, I think Russell Martin would have taken it at half-time because loads to get into, Derek. I mean, it's a big result for Rangers because it puts them 1 foot into the next round. And, you know, we spoke on the show earlier today that the draw for the Champions League in the next round is actually all right. The draw for the Europa League, if Rangers were to drop down, would be really difficult. So the Russell Martin era gets off to a good start. Could have been different if Jack Butland doesn't make a couple of big saves in the first half, if Panathinaikos don't miss a pretty gilt-edged opportunity after the first of those saves. I thought Rangers were bright for like 5, 6, 7 minutes. Some nice passages have played down the right. But you could see the kind of tightrope they were walking in these moves between the fullback rolling inside and moving forward and making the next pass, or losing it and having all that space behind them. The moment that the game turned for me in the first half was when Nico Raskin loses the ball cheaply, playing on his right foot when he maybe should use his left, takes a yellow card. That just slowed the momentum. And from there, Panathinaikos were able to trap Rangers a lot down this left-hand side, where they had 4 right-footers and Suter, Aarons, who's caught in the ball a good few times.
Yeah.
Raskin and Finlay Curtis. And again, in stark contrast to what they had in the second half, they didn't really connect to their wingers. They weren't able to find them running in behind or running onto the ball, as we'll come on to with Finlay Curtis for his strike. So the first half was about staying in the game. Is there going to be teething issues? Of course there is, and that was evident in the first half. But I think to give Rangers their credit, they stayed in it largely thanks to Jack Butland. And then Finlay Curtis, when they needed a moment, when they needed someone to provide some sort of inspiration, he did it. And fair play to him, because I don't think he was having a brilliant game. And he came out in the second half. And just before that goal, he kept the ball well. And Russell Martin made a big point of applauding him and trying to big him up. And he didn't strike the ball like someone who's lacking confidence. And Gassama as well. I mean, what a way to announce yourself. So impressive. And as you say, puts Rangers in a more comfortable position going over next week.
Yeah,
I've got a fan of the show clearly, so just Naz
Premji, who we had on folks like last week to tell us all about Jedi Gassama, has already been on to me saying he told us he's a top player. What an introduction that was! Best introduction from a Frenchman since Fabrice Fernandez way back in the Advocat era when he came on. I think with one of his first touches and banged one in to the top corner at Fir Park, but this was on a bigger stage tonight. And
no regard for the Rangers review there, Derek. Absolutely no.
Shame on him. Was he wanting the lanyard back?
No, I don't know what he wanted, but I said to him on a podcast, he didn't flinch, so he clearly doesn't listen. Sorry, I interrupted you. Continue.
Yeah, no, I was just comparing Gassama's introduction there to a lad that you wouldn't have seen play, but Frenchman Fabrice Fernandez, who came on and had a similar sort of introduction. He took one touch and fired one in the top bin at Fir Park back in the day. Didn't do much else, to be fair, after that, but Jedi Gassama certainly looks like he's going to excite the supporters this season, Joshua. He looks, I mean, we've just seen a little snippet from him tonight, supposedly behind in his fitness schedule, but boy, he's a top player, isn't he?
Yeah, didn't look behind, did he? No. I had a really interesting chat with, I can't remember if I mentioned this in the show today, with Chris Powell, who is the Sheffield Wednesday assistant manager, and spoke glowingly about Gassama and his impact. Yeah, great to talk to, and we'll have the interview out on the website later this week. If that is a sign of things to come, then I'm looking forward to watching him, because he's both goals in a way, and Curtis is a different player, but they epitomise what this Rangers team have lacked, which is directness, athleticism, and what Chris said about Gassama was he's a match winner, and the fans will love him because he enjoys playing football, he enjoys taking men on. And he also spoke about how, I think we discussed this when he arrived at the club, he's an intelligent player. He's been working with another promising young manager in Danny Roll. And I thought you saw in the positions he picked up, but also the variation of his game, whether that be, we spoke about it more, being able to play in the right or the left of midfield. But I think tonight what you saw was how he mixed up his game. The first time he gets the ball, he cuts inside and hits that shot. The next time he plays that outside of the foot pass. The next time he hits the byline and crosses the ball right across the face, and it was just begging someone to put it in. And I think if you're a fullback, you hate that, because you don't know which way your opposite number is going to go. In the first half, Rangers' issue was everything was one-dimensional. Everything was at one angle. There's so many right-footers on the pitch.
Yeah.
But that type of aggressive, front-footed play is what I think this crowd have lacked so much. And Rangers still want more wingers, but I think from that brief introduction, there's good reason to be excited about what Gassama can bring.
Yep, the first half certainly was everything that we had been sort of warned about, I guess, from people that we spoke to with regards Russell Martin's teams. It was never, and he said it himself, he needs patience. It's never going to happen overnight. So it's going to feel a bit clunky to begin with. There's going to be harem-scarum moments. There were tonight. Rangers got away with a few, that's for sure. I think it's a case of, I mean, like you said, it looked a bit disjointed. There's players playing in positions you don't want to see them play too often. You mentioned Max Aarons. He's not a left back for me. I don't want to see him there. I'm also not a fan of John Suter on that left-hand side, I've got to say. Not a big fan of that. Nico Raskin was out sort of covering left full-back and playing predominantly out wide left. Joshua, I'm not too sure that's see the best of him out there. I know Mohamed Diabande was sort of on the opposite flank. It was part of the ploy from Russell Martin, of course, with the fullbacks coming in. I'm not too sure I'm a big fan of that, but again, it's very early days, so we've not really seen that for a considerable period of time. I just looked a bit disjointed. Thought Rothwell looked decent at the heart of midfield.
Yeah, he was. We just got a lot of interest around this end of the camp, Chef. If people are...
Who's this guy?
I don't know.
Carry on, Joe Rothwell.
Yeah, Joe Rothwell. Now, you see, in terms of the style overall, because we were arguing about this in the Rangers review, Johnny's not come on post-match. He's got other engagements, and I'm devastated that we can't have a... Of course there's going to be teething issues.
Exactly.
You've only got two. I'm not just targeting this at Johnny in his absence, but just in general. You've only got two new players starting. You're overhauling a complete style of play. You're in a high-stress environment. Pre-season only started a month ago tomorrow. So I'm sure, as Russell Martin said, he'll learned a lot about his players. And every style of play, every system will have its drawbacks. Rafa Benitez had that famous image of like the blanket. He was like, I can't cover everything. You know, there's always going to be a weakness in a system, whether that's on the ball or off the ball. The fullbacks rolling inside. I thought Tavernier actually looked more comfortable than I thought he would in moments, especially in the first 10 minutes. Max Aarons, you're right, because he's receiving on his wrong side, isn't he? So I thought he was, and they were pouncing on that, and he was maybe checking his shoulder as if he was receiving on his more natural side. But you can tell he's not played that a lot, right? John Souttar, I agree. I thought he slowed the game down too much. And then also he was a bit of a pressing trigger because Panathinaikos knew Rangers are probably more dangerous down the right-hand side, where you've got Diamande who can play either way, Dowell who can play inside the pitch as a left footer and a few different angles. But just on that topic of teething issues, Rangers got away with one slightly, I would say, in that first half. Because if Butland doesn't make those 2 stops, Panathinaikos should probably score a goal and it becomes a very different fixture. As you said at the top of the show, Finlay Curtis's strike comes off the back of Jack Butland making a stop. But it's going to take... these things do not happen overnight, and and the opposite of what we've seen for years and years, Derek, is that Rangers have been a team without any sort of style and without any core kind of... It's just something to fall back on. I think people just need to get used to the fact that there will be moments where it looks really disjointed, but that is the risk for... That is the risk, and that is a trade-off for trying to build something in effect.
Yeah. Plus this squad, I mean, he said it himself, Russell Martin. I think it's going to... We all hope, and he hopes it looks a bit different in a couple of weeks' time as well. He's looking to obviously improve that squad, and it's clear that there's some players there that need to be moved on. You mentioned Jack Butland, and it's quite right you mentioned him. Andy's the point. Butland was superb. Hope he shuts up the boo boys. That was Jack Butland back to his best again. Tonight, Joshua. I thought he was excellent. Did what you had to do. Kept the scoreline at 0-0 when Panathinaikos were really knocking on the door. And long may that continue. If he produces that sort of form, I've got no issue with him staying.
Yeah, I think the big topic has been not so much his shot stopping. Well, it has actually, because that was what lost him his spot last season. But we've been more speaking about how he plays with the ball at his feet. He didn't have too many bad moments. There was one moment where Giga moved inside and played that ball, took a risky pass, and it was the most animated in an emphatic, enthusiastic way. Russell Martin, he kind of turned around, punched the air, shouted, and then 2 minutes 2 minutes later, I don't know if Giga heard him, because 2 minutes later he does the same thing and has to then recover what looked like it was going to be a clear opportunity. It was important to say I thought he did well for a Rangers debut here with a lot of recovery runs required. I thought he did well. But yeah, Butland made 3 probably pretty strong stops.
Yep.
And we spoke on the show today about the fact that the interest in Piers Charles seems to be dependent on Butland staying. He wouldn't likely, we don't think, be coming in if Rangers were to move for him. Wouldn't be coming in necessarily to be the number 1 right away, but to challenge Jack Butland. There's a lot of players still to move on. Rangers are going to have to cut corners. They're going to have to make exceptions in some positions. You can't move out the 8 players that they want to move out the door who aren't in the European squad or aren't in the first team plans, and then also maybe move 3 or 4 or 5 players that could play a part this season. You're going to have to cut corners somewhere. So yeah, I thought it was a good night for him, especially because there was pressure on him, not only because of it being Russell Martin's first game, but it was his first big game he'd been thrown into since he lost his place in the squad, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Nice point. Decent point from Malky. Well done, Rangers. Still going to be a hard game over there. We have to pass the ball better. I think Middlesbrough, the game, I think sandwiched in between these will be useful for just players getting used to each other again and just integrating a little bit more ahead of that game in Athens. You mentioned Kieran Dowell there, Joshua. You got the lineup bang on, incidentally. You did go for the Curtis Danilo and Dowell front 3. Again, it was another Kieran Dowley performance in the Rangers jersey. Didn't really do anything of note. I get that he's impressing Russell Martin in training, but the Rangers fans remain to be convinced by him.
Yeah, I was being accused when I stepped into Ibrox tonight. I was being accused of being a leak because I predicted the right Rangers team, but it was. I saw a lot of it, and I don't think it was particularly out of the ordinary. I think a lot of people predicted it on Twitter, but I was speaking. I was with my cousin before the game, having a coffee, and we were saying, can you imagine if you'd said to people when the American Revolution begun that Rangers front 3 going into the first Champions League qualifier would be Dowell, Curtis, and Danilo. And that's not to discredit them individually, but it's more that is not a first choice Rangers front three. Now, Curtis has had an unbelievable moment. This is a player who's been, I know we'll come on to him, but a player who's been at the club since he first had a trial at the age of 6, and he's 18 years old, and he's scoring that goal in European football. It's just brilliant. That's why I love football. It is a moment that kind of makes you just appreciate it instead of trying to dissect it in any way. But Kieran Dowell is not going to be Rangers' first choice right winger. Again, that is probably a short-term trade-off. I wouldn't be surprised if he stays as part of the squad this summer. I don't think he's in the camp of a Ben Davies or a Jose Cifuentes or even a Ridvan Yilmaz. And again, it's just so important to stress that he has a left foot, and basically no one else in that starting 11 had a left foot. So until Rangers get that right-sided winger, which they're still looking at, Raksaki is the one that seems to be of most interest if they can make it work, because they weren't able to get Kwame Poku. He wanted to stay in English football. Then Dowell maybe, I wouldn't be surprised if he starts away from home next week, or maybe because you're playing against the ball a little bit more, you have Gassama off the right-hand side. But it was an uneventful performance, I agree, but I wasn't surprised to see him in the starting 11.
Yeah, I wonder if Kwame Poku was watching that tonight, thinking, no, have I joined the wrong Rangers, perhaps, because he's certainly not going to get nights like that down at Loftus Road, but there you go. Curtis, point came in here from the Haggis Killer, says, Gassama was really exciting, but we need to make sure Curtis keeps getting game time. That boy is special. I agree with you on that one. I certainly think he can contribute this season. 2 back-to-back man of the matches in the last 2 matches at Ibrox, and there's nothing better than a young lad coming through the academy and doing the business on the biggest stage. So very much hope that we see more of Finlay Curtis in a Rangers jersey. What does it say for me? Oscar Cortez, I had him in my lineup this morning. Joshua, again, not getting an opportunity. Question marks certainly reign over that lad.
Yeah, I guess, again, we referenced it this morning. There's probably 2 ways to look at it. One is huge question marks. He's not being trusted even when there's limited options out wide. The other is he's someone who's just had so many injuries that even though he's had a full pre-season, is it just a case of Martin's knowing that Curtis is going to start this game and Gassama's more ready and he's played more football? So it's a case of prioritising them, and Cortez can maybe just have a few months to the start of the season where he does start to get a little bit more game time and is bedded in gradually. I don't know at this moment in time. I know that staff were impressed with the physical condition he came back in after summer. He's had a lot of injuries, and maybe it was just too early for him. But Rangers are still looking to recruit wingers, and I expect that off the back of tonight, Curtis has done his chances no harm of staying part of the squad this season, as opposed to maybe going out on loan somewhere.
What do you make? I mean, we touched on Max Aarons playing out of position, but that Russell Martin liking his fullbacks to come inside and sort of play centrally with the midfielders dropping in wide areas. Are you a fan of that? Can you see that working?
Yes, and yes. It will take time, but you're not doing it for the sake of it, right? So the reason you're doing it is, and we'll have loads more coverage and breakdowns we can actually get into some tactics this season on the Rangers review, which is long overdue.
You're overjoyed about.
Yeah. It is what it is, Derek. But it's not for the sake of it. You watch the movements of Raskin and Diomande pulling wide to get to get a cross over their passing lanes with the fullbacks. The idea is that those rotations on either side provide multiple passing options, allow you to move forward at speed, but also then the fullbacks protect against transition because they're closer to the centre backs instead of being high and wide. And I thought Tavernier looked like he suited it, as I say, maybe better than anticipated. And with Aarons, he's just clearly not a left back by trade, but also clearly was being targeted by Panathinaikos in the way that they pressed, and you could see it here. That was their trigger when he had his back to goal. But again, it's another position where Rangers will look to strengthen because Jeffy's still got to learn that role. He's rarely played inside the pitch throughout his career, and I don't think it's as natural to his game. I think it will be a it'll be a work in progress. But ultimately, you've also got to think about it. What are they facilitating? And they're facilitating. I know Gassama was kind of playing as a wing back when he came on because they had a man advantage.
Yeah.
But they're facilitating high and wide wingers. And Curtis's touch for that goal he takes is brilliant. And that's the type of automated movement that Rangers have been working on time and again in training, which didn't work in the first half. But it's about getting the players into the positions and having structure and then freedom in the final third to effectively, hopefully, go and do the business. But it's not just in isolation they're playing in there to have pretty patterns and look good. It's to facilitate width elsewhere in the team. And you saw that tonight with 2 goals from wingers and drive and runs, the type of which we've not seen much at all from. I mean, when was the last time Rangers played with wingers? Like, genuinely,
no idea.
Absolutely ages ago. Also think it's worth talking about Joe Rothwell, who I thought was very good and can drive with the ball, which is refreshing. Suspected he'd play at number 6. And I think that pass from Raskin, where he gets a yellow card, is a demonstration of why Rothwell will be the number 6 at the start, because he's safer, he's more methodical, he's more experienced, and you saw the risk of losing the ball in central areas when Aarons was pressed in particular. So it's just important to mention that I think you saw why he can be quite an integral part to what Russell Martin's going to try and do here this season.
Yeah, it's all about opinions, of course. Colin taking issue with that. What you had to say on there. He says Raskin's second half dynamism far outweighs asking him to cover it left back. First half, just not a fan of that at all. Joshua,
can I bite back on Colin?
Yes.
He's not covered. I've seen some tweets like Raskin's playing left midfield. Like, he's not going. Go and watch PSG in the Champions League final. Look where Hakimi scores his first goal. It's not about positions. Players are going to rotate into all these different areas. I agree with Colin that, like, I don't think that left number 8 position is the best for Raskin because he's so right-footed.
Yeah,
and he can get caught in different angles, and you saw that for his yellow card. But it's not so much about, in my opinion, it's all about opinions. Being asked to cover left back, it's rotating different movements simultaneously, so that maybe as Raskin drops short and his man moves with him, in theory, Aarons can move beyond into that space, and that split-second rotation then gets you into the next part of the game.
Yeah.
But how, at the end of the transfer window, how many of these players, how many of that starting 11 is going to be Russell Martin's strongest team? You're looking at 2, 3, 4 spots, I think.
Yeah.
And that is, again, important to mention when you're looking at how effective that football was tonight.
Yeah, you need to remember Rangers are playing a massive game very early on in the season. Ideally, you don't want to be starting your season properly at this point, but it is what it is. And allow it man with a point says, I just don't see what Danilo brings to the team. A quiety sort of display from him. Unlucky in the first half of a volley that was sort of deflected wide. Never had too many touches of the ball. Laid one off for Diamandi for a shot at goal. I'm trying to think if he had any other sort of involvement.
The nice turn early on where I don't think the Panathinaikos defender got booked, but he probably should have in that opening 10 minutes where Rangers were popping the ball about well, for want of a better phrase. But yeah, I thought he was pretty quiet. Probably wasn't helped by the fact that he got isolated at points in the first half and maybe couldn't bring the team up the pitch. But yeah, again, it's his first start. It's his first start in a big game in
and we keep saying he needs a run of games, so I'm not going to just write him off after that. But good to see Cyril Dessers and Hamza Igaman coming on incidentally. Rangers managed to see the game out, as I touched on at the top of the show. Igaman was instrumental. Good pass from him to release Diamandi and then set that Rangers breakaway up for Gassama to do the business. But as we touched on earlier, did not see that coming at half time. Chris got it bang on that score prediction when we were on at the pre-match show. So kudos to Chris for that. So well done. I'm back on with him tomorrow morning at 9:30 on. We'll discuss the match in more detail. He's currently down in the press conference room, folks, hearing from Russell Martin. So we'll get the views of him and we'll post those on the YouTube channel as soon as we get them. But good start, a winning start. I think that's good That's a huge win, I think, for Russell Martin. Again, the job is not done. It's only half time, but it gives Rangers something to hold on to. I'm expecting it still, even though they've got that advantage, Joshua, I think it's going to be a tough old night over there next week.
Yeah, third goal, and Gassama had that. Who was closest to it when Gassama flashed the cross right across the face of goal? Was it Dessers maybe? I'm not sure. Someone can tell me in the comments. But that was a moment, if you went 3-0 over there, then the job is almost done.
Yeah.
If Panathinaikos score an early goal, you never know. It's not the hostility of their home stadium, as we've already discussed. And Rangers had to ride their luck, ride Jack Butland's quality in the first half when they probably should have gone a goal behind. But if they're able to get through this tie, it's so significant because of the difficulties of the Europa League draw, because of the potential then of getting extra finances by getting into the Champions League playoff. And just before we end, it was just nice to see Ibrox full of energy, full of optimism. Not just about the football and Russell Martin's team, but the new ownership. The fact that this has been a club that's needed, even if you just think of the last 3 or 4 years we've been doing this and talking about Rangers most days, Derek. This is a club that's needed hope and energy back into it for so long, almost to the extent where I think you could say that the phrase has been a sleeping giant. So it was a taster, a little bit of what Rangers fans will hope is to come, and just refreshing to actually feel a bit of optimism around the place. I was thinking that as the players were doing their little mini walk, I was thinking back to the many lap of shames that they did last season. New ownership was here tonight. It's a long season. There's so much work to be done, but nice to see a little bit of hope back in the air.
Yeah, and of course, Sir Alex back at Ibrox as well in attendance. Of course, he's been up at Rangers. Met with Russell Martin recently as well. So he would have been pleased with what he saw from his former club, no doubt. And the thousands, the vast majority inside Ibrox heading home pretty happy tonight after tonight's events. But just half the job done. But good work from the team this evening. We'll call it a night there. Who's your man of the match, Joshua, before we say goodbye?
Can I have two? I want to give it to Finlay. I want to give it to Finlay Curtis just because I'm being very sentimental tonight, Derek. But I just thought, as an 18-year-old boy who's been at the club since he's 6 and he scores that goal, it's fantastic.
He won't sleep tonight.
He won't sleep tonight. But I might say, and again, Butland, I should give it to Butland, but I've never given it to goalkeepers. So I might even give it to Rothwell. I don't think he was brilliant.
Wow. Yep.
I don't think he was brilliant, but I think he was good. Helped things tick over really well. What about you?
A few people saying Rothwell. Colin agrees with you there. Andrew says Raskin. He had a good game as well. I would go Jack Butland. I think, again, he's an experienced campaigner, but it was a huge game for him as well, given that the way his sort of season unfolded last season, and he produced a big performance tonight. So well done to him. But special mention to Finlay Curtis as well. Absolutely sensational. When Rangers needed a goal and a moment of magic, he was the one who stepped up in just 18 years of age. Incredible stuff from him. Right, that'll do us there. Well done to you all for tuning into the show, but well done to everybody.
Well done.
Everyone's getting a pat on the back. No lap of shame tonight, that's for sure. But enjoy the rest of what remains of your Tuesday evening, folks. I'll be back on with Chris tomorrow morning at 9:30. We'll speak to you all then. Bye for now.